All right, hey, good evening, everybody, and Shabbat Shalom. It is Friday, June the 3rd, 2022, and still in Missouri. And it's a beautiful morning here, even though I'm recording this for the evening there. So I just want to, today today is the 3rd, so we're going to look at three different Psalms. We're going to look at Psalm 63, Psalm 33, and Psalm 3. And I've entitled today's Daily Manna, Peace and Rest in the Lord When the Storm is Raging All Around. Peace and rest in the Lord when the storm is raging all around. We're going to start in Psalm 63. So I don't have the text on the screen, so if you have your Bible, I'm using the Tree of Life version, but you can use whatever version you want. So Psalm 63 is the Psalm of David. When he was in the wilderness of Judah is the opening superscription. So we're given this context when he's in the wilderness, which likely then has him on the run. He's being chased, and this is on the front part of his life. This is potentially when Saul is chasing him, and he hasn't done anything, right? Other than, he's been anointed as king and by Samuel, but he's not trying to take over the kingship. He's defeated Goliath, and so Saul feels threatened. And so David, when he's on the run from the king, from a father figure really to him, it's actually his wife's father, is he calls on the Lord. Verse 2, it says, "O God, you are my God." And there's this emphatic, it's you are my God. Earnestly, diligently, I seek you. I inquire of you. So this word that's to seek or to require it's related to the word that looks exactly the same vowel or consonants, shachar, which is the pre-dawn twilight. It's the period immediately before sunrise. And so there's this picture. So that's why in the Septuagint it translates this as, "I awake at dawn. For you, I awake at dawn." And so those two pictures can go hand in hand of earnestly seeking and starting that day off, saying, "Lord, I need you. I'm seeking you this morning." He continues. He says, My soul is thirsty for you. My flesh craves for you, is hungry, desires you, longs for you in a dry and a weary land where there is no water. So my yearning, my desire is to meet you, Lord. It's like the longing that the parched earth has for water. He says, "So I looked for you in the sanctuary to see your power and your glory. So I gazed upon you in the holy place to see your power, to see your glory, since your chesed, your loving kindness, is better than life, is more than life. My lips will praise you." So David remembers the Lord, and he remembers that in the sanctuary, in the place of God's dwelling, he can find the Lord. Now, there's no temple at this time. Obviously, there is the tabernacle, but this memory, this remembering, thinking about God, remembering who God is in the sanctuary, is what begins to quench his thirst, calling on God, meeting with God. He says, verse 5, "So I will bless you as long as I live. In your name I lift up my hands. My soul is satisfied as with fat and oil, so my mouth praises you with joyful lips. When I remember you on my bed, I meditate on you through the night watches." So verse 7 now moves from from this picture of the table, like being with you, Lord. My soul is satisfied as with fat and oil, as with milk and fatness, is the deliciousness, like I'm satisfied in you. And so then it moves from table to bed, when you're asleep. When you're in your bed and it's the darkness of the night, it's when you're most susceptible to whatever enemies are in pursuit of you. It's when you're actually most vulnerable to surprise attack. And so, of course, that's also where there are nightmares, and terror is in the night. And he says, but at night, when I'd be most afraid, when I can't see, uh, through the darkest part of the night watches, of course, the periods of time through the night. He says, I meditate on you. I my mind is set on you because, verse 8, because you have been a helper to me. You have been my help. You have been my support. And in the shadow of your wings, I sing for joy. Verse 9, he says, my soul clings to you. My soul is joined to you, is following after you, is welded to you. Your right hand upholds me. So he says, it literally says, my soul is joined together, it's following you, after you, not just clings to you, but it's acharecha, which is behind you, after you, and your right hand grasps me. So it's like you're the one. I'm clinging to you, right? It's like when you're a kid and you're holding on. If you're on your dad's carrying you and you're on his back and you're clinging to him, welded to him, but his arm has your legs. He's got you. He's grasping you. There's that imagery here of being fully dependent on the Lord. Verse 10, but they who seek my soul to destroy it will go down to the depths of the earth. They will be gutted by the sword and become a prey for jackals. But the king will rejoice in God. All who swear by him will boast when the mouth speaking lies is shut, when the mouth speaking deception is shut. My hope is in you. So at the end here, the interesting thing is he says, but the king will rejoice in God. And if he's running from Saul, because it opens up saying he's in the wilderness. So what is he pointing to here? What's he focused on here? We're not, when he says the king, is he talking about someday when he is king? Is he speaking just, is this a prayer for his enemies actually? Is this a prayer for the king who is in pursuit of him right now? But he's, whatever it is, he's trusting that the Lord is the one that's going to come through. The Lord is going to be the one who vindicates him. So here at the front end of his life, you got him being chased. You got him on the run, and yet he's saying, I'm resting in you. I'm finding my hope in you. In the dark of the night, I'm clinging to you, and you're holding on to me. And he says, so the hope is, okay, so once I'm through this period of time, there's going to be a security. Now I can, the challenges are over. I can take it easy. But when you come to Psalm, we're going to back all the way up to Psalm 3. And Psalm 3 opens up with the superscription that says, a psalm of David when he fled from his son Absalom, which, of course, you can read that whole story of Absalom's rebellion against his father and trying to kind of draw the people to him, and he was very popular. You can read about that in 2 Samuel 15 to 19. So this is the Psalm of David. Now on the other side of his life, later and he's being chased here early, he was being chased by a father figure. Now he's being chased by his son. And it says, Adonai, how many are my foes? Or how many are my distresses, my troubles, my tsarai? It says, many are rising up against me. Many are taking their stand against me. Many are saying to my soul, there is no salvation for him in God. There is no deliverance for him in God. They are a multitude, he says, are speaking to my soul, saying, there's no salvation for you in God. So these verses open up with The word Rav, many, used 3 different times. Many are my troubles. Many are taking their stand against me. Sorry, I keep looking. When you're recording on these, the tendency is to look at yourself in the camera, and here's the camera, and I have to keep remembering there's the camera, so forgive me on that. But he says, many are my troubles. Many are taking their stand up against me. Many are saying, God won't deliver me or save me. So in the face of that, in the face of the many, in the face of the multitude that are coming against him, and you're overwhelmed and you're outnumbered, many, and it's words that are, at the end of 63, he said, the mouth speaking lies will be shut. Well, here the mouths speaking lies are saying there is no salvation for you in God. But in the face of that, he looks and he says, but you, O Lord, va'ata, but you. So now the internal conversation is moved in a reverse direction, away from the multitude of troubles and the multitude of voices and what they're saying. It's saying, but you. I'm finding my rest in you. I'm finding my hope in you, but you, O Lord. Verse 4, he says, Va'ata Adonai, but you, Adonai, are a shield around me. You are a shield on my behalf, my glory, and the lifter of my head. I don't know if you can hear. There's noise behind this. It's loud. But hopefully I'm using these earbuds to try to minimize that. Okay. It says, my glory and the lifter of my head. I cry out to Adonai with my voice, and he answers me from his holy mountain. So surrounded. I'm surrounded. I'm many. I'm outnumbered. And this is his own son chasing him. But you, O Lord, you're a shield around me. You are my glory. You're the one who lifts up my head, who reminds me who you are. I cry to you with my voice, and you answer me. He answers me from his holy mountain. And so now in verse 6, I love this. He says, just like we saw in the previous one, when Saul was chasing him in the night watches, he could sleep and rest because the Lord was with him. Well, now he says, I lie down and sleep. I awake, for the Lord sustains me. Having cried out to the Lord, he continues to live his life, and he lies down and he sleeps and he wakes up, and his confidence is in the Lord to be his joy, to be his support, to be his helper, to be the one on whom he leans. He says, I awake, for the Lord is my support. He sustains me. He's the one I lean on. This picture of almost like a crutch, but in a good way. You are my support. Verse 7, I will not fear, or I will not be afraid of 10,000s of people all around. And so this is mi rivot. So Rav, from the multitudes, we've had Rav, and so now this is Ravavot, which is the plural from 10,000-fold, miravavot, the multitudes of multitudes. I will not be afraid of the 10,000s of people, of the multitudes of multitudes who have taken their stand against me. So, and so then, he's outnumbered, and he's using hyperbolic language, but it's this feeling of being so outnumbered, it's ridiculous. And so there's only one hope that he has. There's only one help that he has. Verse 8, he says, arise, O Lord. Like they've taken their stand against me, so he says, Kuma, arise, O Lord. Arise, O Lord. Deliver me, my God. For you strike all my enemies on the cheek. You shatter the teeth of the wicked. Right? So it's the Lord who fights for us. He's the one who like, I don't need to humiliate. David's like, I'm not going to humiliate my enemies. I can't break their power, Lord, but you strike the cheek of the enemy. You shatter the teeth of the wicked. They can only gum me. They can't, you, because of you, you're the one who renders them powerless, who without bite. Verse 9, deliverance belongs to Adonai, right? Salvation belongs to Adonai. Let your blessing be upon your people. He says salvation is indeed from the Lord, your blessing upon your people. So they said there's no salvation for you in God, but indeed salvation belongs it belongs to you. They don't get to say where deliverance comes from. You alone have it, Lord. And so let your blessing be upon your people. So then we come to our final psalm for today, Psalm 33, which kind of gives us this overview. So you sort of got running to God's rest at the beginning of your life, running to God's rest even at the end when you thought it would all be over. But then this Psalm 33 giving us this overview of why we run to him, of the one to whom we run in the midst of whatever it is that you're overwhelmed by, in the midst of whatever it is that you're afraid. And so it opens up with this call to us to sing to the Lord, to shout to the Lord. Sing to for joy, verse 1, to Adonai, you righteous. Praise is fitting for the upright. Praise fits like a hand in a glove, is the idea. It's suitable, it's fitting, it's beautiful. That the idea is, that clothing looked nice on the hanger, but where it needs to be is on the person. That was made for you. Well, praise was made for the righteous. It fits perfectly on the upright. Says verse 2 says, praise Adonai, or give thanks, Hodu, praise Adonai with the harp. Sing praises to him with a 10-string lyre. Sing to him a new song. Play skillfully amid shouts of joy. So give thanks with your whole being, with instruments at hand, make music to him. Sing new songs of newness, fresh songs, something that is not just old and stale, but something that's bubbling over from within you. And do it skillfully, do it with all your might and all your skill. Praise is what you should be wearing, and the focus here is on this expression of praise, the mode of praise. It should be sing out and sing, and may it be not just singing the same old thing. If you're singing something, let it be overflowing from your heart. Let it be a new song about what God is still doing, what he did before, he'll do again. The overview of your life being a praise to him. And so now the first focus here in verse 3 is about the expression of praise. The second focus is on the content of praise. What am I praising? What am I praising the Lord for? It says, verse 4, it says, for the word of Adonai is upright, is level, it's Yasher and Yashar, and all of his works, all of his doings are done in truth, in faithfulness. Everything he does is authentic. It's through and through. It's done in faithfulness. It's done in truth. It's dependable. He loves righteousness and justice. The earth is full of the love of Adonai. It says, Chesed Adonai Malach Haaretz. The Chesed of the Lord, the loving kindness of the Lord fills the earth. So here you have his righteousness and his justice and his truth, right? His word, all his work is done in truth. He loves righteousness. He loves justice. And the earth is filled with his chesed, with his loving kindness. This is the character of God. These are the hallmarks of who he is, of what the content of his character that we are praising. Who is like the Lord, right? His word is straight and level. Everything that he does is done in emunah, in truth and faithfulness. What he makes, what he does, is an expression of what he loves. He loves righteousness. He loves justice, right? So mishpat, justice, speaks to right decisions that are good and fair, that are concerned with the well-being of others, that consider the poor, the outcast, and the outsider. Mishpat is justice that brings appropriate punishment for those who've taken advantage of others, because the Lord loves righteousness. He loves justice. And as a result of what he has spoken, his upright words, his faithfulness, his love of what is right and what is just, and the earth is filled with his loving kindness. And so now, going into verse 6, we get a picture of what God has done, of his accomplishments, of the things that he does when he speaks and he creates. Verse 6 says, by Adonai's word were the heavens made, all their host by the breath of his mouth. He gathers the waters of the sea together in a heap. He lays up deep waters in storehouses, right? So the oceans, the waters, that which is most powerful, that which is least controllable, we can't tame it, but he gathers it up and stores them. Like he is overall, yes, he is just and righteous and loving and true. And he is mighty. Verse 8, let all the earth fear Adonai, let the inhabitants of the world stand in awe of him. Verse 9, because for he spoke, emphatically, he spoke, he commanded, and it came to be. He commanded, he gave the word, and it stood firm. What he said was, and it was solid. Verse 10, and so now there's this shift, right? From the one, now we've focused on who we should be praising, and why we should be praising him, why we should be revering him. And so if we're focused on him, then all the other stuff that we fear, whether it's Saul, whether it's Absalom, whether it's the 10,000s rising up against me, whether it's the nations, whatever it is, whatever anxieties are coming. Verse 10 says, Adonai foils the purposes of the nations. He crumbles, he frustrates, he invalidates the counsel, the plans of the nations. He thwarts the plans of the peoples. But the plan, verse 11, the plan of Adonai stands forever. The purposes of his heart, the thoughts of his mind, his calculations of his heart from generation to generation. So keep your focus on him. His plans stand. His plans are sure. And so don't be shaken by the plans of the nations and the plans of the peoples. They're like the grass of the field, right? They're here today, gone tomorrow. It says, verse 12 says, blessed is the nation whose God is Adonai, the people he chose for his own inheritance. And verse 13 reminds us, it says, the Lord looks down, Adonai looks down from heaven. He observes all humanity. He's watching. He sees you. He sees you, David. He sees you. He sees me. He sees the plans of our hearts. He sees the plans of the nations, the plans of the enemies. He observes all humanity. Verse 14, from his dwelling place, he gazes on all the inhabitants of the earth. He who shapes, who fashions, the shaper, the potter of hearts, discerns all their deeds. Right? He doesn't just shape the hearts of men. He gets what's actually going on inside of them. He discerns it. Right? It says, and there's a word, it says the shaper, it says hayotzer yachad livam. It says the shaper of hearts together. He shapes and he understands. It's both. He shapes and he gets, and it's in unity. His forming and his understanding are together, and he sees everything that he does is done in truth. Everything that he does, and he sees the works of humanity. He gets what's happening in the hearts of men. Verse 16, no king is saved. It says, Ein Hamelech, there's not one king who is saved by his great army. He says, there is none. Which king is saved by their great army? Ein Hamelech, there is not one king. There is no king saved by his great army. No warrior is delivered by great strength. Right? Kings trust in the might of the multitude of their valiant warriors to deliver them. And those warriors trust in the multitude of their strength to snatch them from the jaws of defeat. But he says there isn't one king, there isn't one warrior that is actually true of, despite what they think. Right? He is our deliverer. Verse 17 says a horse, whatever, so a horse or a chariot or a tank or an airplane or a nuclear missile, whatever it is that people are trusting in, or their guns. A horse is a false hope for victory. A horse is a deception. A deception is the horse to save, is what it says, for salvation. Why are you trusting in the horse to save you? Nor can its great strength bring deliverance, or nor can its great strength save. Behold, the eyes of Adonai are on those who fear him, who wait for his love, to deliver their souls from death and to keep them alive in famine. It continues, it says in verse 20, it says, our soul waits, our soul endures Our soul waits for Adonai. He is our help. He is our support, and He is our shield. Our heart rejoices in Him because we trusted in His holy name. Right? So we can rejoice, we can praise. That praise is fitting and it's upright because we have confidence. We put our confidence from the depth of our hearts in the one whose ways are always true, who are done in truth and faithfulness, who are reliable, the one whose word is straight. What He says is powerful to create. What He says is true and reliable through and through. The one who loves righteousness and loves mishpat. He loves justice. He loves it. And the earth is filled with His covenant love. It reflects His love day after day. The one who spans the generations, right? That His plans remain firm while the plans of the nations rise and fall, and He thwarts them and He invalidates and frustrates their plans. He is the one who is over all. He keeps us alive in the famine. He snatches us to safety. Even though the sons of humanity are raging, the sons of humanity that He is watching, He sees. So we can rejoice. Verse 22, let your chesed, Adonai, let your loving kindness be upon us as we have waited for you. Amen. So for all the days of our lives, it doesn't mean we're not going to be being chased. It doesn't mean that we're not going to find ourselves being chased or being in opposition, being opposed by those we thought we never would be. When there's storms, we think there'll never be another storm. There'll be another storm. When the storm is raging all around, whether it's a storm from Saul or Absalom or wherever it may come from, fix your eyes on Him. Trust in Him. Don't trust later some trust in horses, some trust in chariots, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. We trust in who He is, in His truth, in His word, in His faithfulness, in His character, in His love. And we call on Him. So let there be peace. Find your rest in your hope by fixing your eyes on Him when the storm is raging. Amen? All right, well, Shabbat Shalom. And don't forget to join us tomorrow for service at 10:30 a.m. But may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make His face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up His countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom, shalom, Shabbat shalom. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening.